Welcome to your weekday Cup of the Word. We're in Proverbs chapter 11, and Proverbs 11 is dealing with those contrasting statements, and they're really miscellaneous in that they aren't necessarily about one particular thing, but if there's one general theme that kind of stands out in Proverbs chapter 11, it's the idea of graciousness and generosity and greed, and in dealing with money, being honest. It'll talk about false weights and balances, and that doesn't necessarily make sense to the way we run with commerce and economy today, but back then, instead of dollar bills and coins and currency like we have, they would use weights of gold and silver, and so you had to weigh the money. And if you had a trick or a cheating balance, a false balance, you could find a way to either pay less for a product or to get more for a product than what you should. And so don't be a cheat. It's an abomination to God. And it talks about, down about like verse 16, it talks about ruthless men attain riches, and the idea that sometimes the desire for riches can lead to ruthlessness and being cutthroat, and that can be a character flaw. So we have to be aware that riches can do that to us. But on the other hand, a gracious woman attains honor, that graciousness will give you honor amongst people that lasts longer than the money does. And down in verse 24, it talks about very similar things, the idea of being willing to scatter, the idea of giving and generosity, and that has benefits to it that outweigh the finances. So as you go through this chapter, you deal with a whole lot of different things, but money seems to kind of jump to the forefront, and that there are consequences beyond this life for our behavior, that how you treat money and how you treat people isn't just about here in this life, but that God will bring these things into judgment, that you will stand before your Maker for what kind of a life you led. And so Proverbs chapter 11 kind of focuses a little bit more on that relationship between man and money and the temptation to misuse that. That's your Daily Cup, and we'll see you tomorrow.